If you've ever wondered what happened to the popular kids in your high school, well, researchers actually looked into that question to decide whether or not they actually become successful after grade school is over. Now, this is regarding a 10-year study that was recently published in the journal Child Development. And what the researchers found after following people around from the ages of 13 to 23 is that it turns out that their life outside of grade school is the antithesis of what they experienced when they were in high school. So let me give you the examples. Now, they specifically looked at something that they refer to as adolescent pseudo-mature behavior. That basically means that you are so obsessed with looking mature to appear cool that you will indulge in risky behaviors like drinking or smoking, right? So when you're in grade school, you're cool when you do that, but what happens when you graduate? It's a little different. So adolescent pseudo-mature behavior describes young teens who want to look and feel mature before they actually are. They haven't reached the emotional and behavioral maturity that comes with adulthood. To look and feel mature, these teens often behave in ways they consider mature, like drinking alcohol, smoking, partying late, and having sex.
Otherwise known as having a good time.
Having a good time, okay? But there's a difference between moderate indulgence and going overboard. In this case, the teens went overboard, okay? So let me give you a little bit about the methodology. The team spent 10 years following behavioral habits of 184 subjects. 86 were males and 98 were females. When the study began, all the subjects were 13 years old and in either 7th or 8th grade. When it ended, they were 23. All right, so now we're about to show you an amazing graph that kind of helps you visualize what happens to them. Okay, so let's take a look at the graph. And if you can see in the blue line, in the beginning, they're up there with the popularity and the coolness and their life is great. And then all of a sudden it dips down because once they enter adulthood and they're actually out there in the real world, their ridiculous antics don't really bode well. All of a sudden they're drinking too much, they're taking drugs, their desperation to appear mature or to appear cool doesn't resonate well with others once they've graduated.
But that chart said to age 15. So
to age 15, because the biggest dip that they experience is actually from 13 to 15, but it continues to dip into adulthood.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I'm glad you mentioned that.
So the most popular kids in 7th and 8th grade then go take a nosedive.
Yes, huge nosedive. And it only gets worse as they enter adulthood.
Okay.
I knew I shouldn't have peaked in 7th grade. Yeah, and all that pseudo-maturity with the ping pong all night long, that wasn't cool at all, was it?
He was a ping pong champion.
You were?
Not a champion. We were dorks. We played ping pong. That's why I only went up instead of going down.
Right. And I love that graph because it shows you what happens to the people who weren't really interested in the pseudo-mature behavior, right? Their popularity or their coolness actually went up as they got older.
So this is a really interesting study, but there's a lot of in there, right? So I was a dork in 7th and 8th grade, and I was also a dork in 9th and 10th grade. So, and I was I wasn't pseudo-mature. I was relatively mature. I did my homework. It was, diligent, hence a dork, right? But the dorks who were diligent and more mature, the brainiacs, whatever you want to call them, nerds, losers, dorks. Kidding. Okay, it's not like we all of a sudden, everybody's like, by 11th grade, they're like, no, we should be having sex with the kids in the honors classes. Nobody thought that.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
You're right about that. But what's interesting is, okay, so I'm sure you guys are wondering, well, how do the researchers determine whether or not they're cool, right?
Right.
So they actually relied on surveys from their peers. So their peers started off by reporting that, yeah, this 13-year-old's the shit. Like, we really like her or him. They're really awesome. We want to hang out with them. And then by 15, more and more of their peers are like, yeah, they're full of shit. We're not interested, right? And then it continued into adulthood. So I think that it's interesting because I experienced something similar when I was in grade school, right? So I wasn't the cool kid when I was 13. I was the huge dork. And then I realized that as I got older, I became more and more popular, even though I didn't really change my habits. I was always really into academics and all of that stuff. And so all the kids that were doing the risky behavior were the kids that everyone else kind of wanted to stay away from as they got closer to graduation. So.
You think so? I don't know, man. I think girls and guys have it a little different. Because, something happens to girls right around that age that doesn't happen to guys. They develop breasts. And
Some guys develop breasts.
Okay. And so sometimes that'll make you look cooler for guys, right? I'm saying, just a random little sliver of what happens in school. But like, it's a really interesting study, and they say by the time you get to 23, you know, doing coke, it turns out, is not a great idea, right? And it catches up with you. And I just think that it's a little bit more narrow than just cool versus uncool. It's kids who are trying to act cool by doing dangerous stuff.
Yep.
Right? I mean, dangerous, it depends on your definition of dangerous, but at 13, I wouldn't want my kids drinking alcohol, doing drugs and stuff.
So, you know, I smoked and drank as a kid and stuff. So I was one of these pseudo-mature kids. But I think I straightened out. I went to Catholic high school, which not everybody in my neighborhood went to public school. All my brothers went to public school. I went to Catholic school, so it was a little different thing. I don't know why. I mean, I went on to binge drink too and everything like that. But when I got in comedy, all that stopped. I don't know, but I do. So I've been thinking about the kids that I went to school with who were the coolest in 7th and 8th grades, and yeah, they all losers.
Yeah, but here's another clarification that I want to make. Maybe this will help people understand why this is happening. So when you're in high school or middle school, whatever, grade school in general, and you have already been dubbed the popular kid, that becomes your identity, right? Being the people pleaser and being obsessed with being the cool kid, it's your identity, right? So you're less focused on doing things to make yourself successful and more focused on the thoughts and the feedback of other people. And we all know that if you're obsessed with the feedback of other people, you're not going to get anywhere in life.
So that's really, really interesting. And I think that a lot of people are obsessed with the feedback from people. But to develop what you're saying, Anna, a little further, I think, is, so if your identity is centered around being smart, well, then you want to get people's approval by continuing along that path, by doing well, right? Whether it's in academics or in other ways, so that you buttress that identity. Whereas if your identity is based on people liking you and being the cool guy who'll do crazy shit, well, then you are going to want to, supplement that identity by doing crazier and crazier and shit, which is then going to get you in a vicious cycle.
Yes.
Yeah, you get in trouble and you become they were not good students. I avoided, even though I did smoke cigarettes and drink at a young age, I was the class clown. So I don't think I was considered like popular in that sense. I was, everybody laughed at me. I was always making jokes or whatever, anything for a laugh at that age. And so I don't think I was considered one of the cool kids. I think maybe that's why I'm not a loser.
I think the class clown is somewhere in the middle, though. Like, I don't think class clowns are losers. Class clowns have their own popularity. Everyone wants to be able to laugh. So if you can make the class laugh, then they're going to love you.
It was definitely to get attention. That's no doubt about it.
Yeah. So, and of course it doesn't mean that every cool kid in high school like, ha, we got you, now you're a loser dummy, right? But it does get you to think about what are the different factors that lead to the wrong results, what are the different factors that lead to the right results, and if you're not popular right now in high school, it gets better, right?
Yes.
Hang in there.